Hello, this is the Triple Threat Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Matt Vaughn, coming to you live on tape from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, on the East Coast. Probably feeling fine. We have Alex Vaughn. Alex, how you doing today?
I am fantastic.
Oh, good. I underestimated his feeling fine.
I'm
He's
feeling good.
Fantastic.
I'm feeling good.
There you go. On the West Coast, repping the West Coast.
West Coast, bad boys.
Is Will Vaughn.
Pop locking.
Holler. What it is, cuz. What it is.
There you go. You guys remember pop locking, of course. The West Coast bad boys. Everyone does. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, well, no one could ever.
For all those West Coast pop locking fans who listen to this show.
I find like I can't pop without locking. If I'm doing one, the other one's happening as well.
That's true. It's like Superman and Clark Kent. You never see them in the same place at the same time.
Only the opposite.
The exact
you can't
opposite.
Pop and not lock.
Because I do them at the same time, whereas you never see them at the same time. So you're close if you meant the exact opposite of what you said.
I guess I was way off base. Way off base.
Well, it's earlier for you than the rest of us.
Yeah, guys, give me a break.
It's already tomorrow for me, so.
Yeah, what day is it? Prime Minister?
It's
what day is
yesterday.
it, Mary? Is it yesterday? I'm Mr. Prime Minister.
Beautiful day. Beautiful day here.
Yeah, me too. I got a beautiful day too.
I don't know if I have
It's a beautiful day wherever you are, because that is up to you as a person of what you see in the world. All you have to do is believe.
Yeah.
there you go.
Feels good to be alive. I tell you what, we aren't believing in anymore. No one believes in the Shield.
No.
They, as Triple H seemingly purchased the services of Seth Rollins on SmackDown, Seth explained his actions with the classic, "Nobody needs to know why I did what I did except for me."
Yeah, that's always good.
That's always just like,
I feel like they're just going for the swerve, and they're like, well, everyone expects it to be Roman Reigns, and, I mean, it's built into Dean Ambrose's character. Like, he could turn at any second, really, but then to have Rollins do it throws everyone for a loop, and the only issue is explaining it, and now they don't have to.
And now they don't have to. The interesting thing is that they keep referring to him as the architect of the Shield, which never really played out in matches or in promos or anything. It's just something they always said. And I think they said that so that they can take out the architect. And, of course, the whole structure falls. And I guess on Raw tonight we'll see what happens with Roman and Dean, how the rest of the team does. But I've always been a fan of Seth Rollins, the first NXT champion. I always knew he could do some.
He's good.
He's awesome, and the whole team's great. But he's really he's an exceptional talent, and it's
for sure.
You get to start off the SmackDown this week with him against Dolph Ziggler.
Which is a great matchup.
Yeah, and now you get to see that, right? And you get to see him play the heel side a little bit more. And, back in the day, he played a heel well. And, in the absence of Batista. But this is interesting because Batista left, and Triple H said, until the Shield is no more, nobody gets what they want, and Batista quits. So wouldn't you think that would – I mean, I'm sure he's gone, but don't you think in the storyline it would make Batista be like, okay, well, the Shield's gone, so I'm back now?
Yeah, exactly.
But I guess he's not going to just – change his mind that quickly or that easily.
Yeah, and I don't know. It was odd because they had the match the week, the night before that great payback.
Six-man.
Six-man elimination where they swept them.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden, not so much.
Well, I guess it's like you trade a player in the during the season, like when the Yankees were in Seattle and they traded for Ichiro. He just walked down the hall and all of a sudden he puts on a different shirt and he's part of a different team. It's the exact same thing.
Yeah,
it's literally the exact same thing.
Okay, I mean, yeah,
you're not doing great in your examples today, Will. So maybe just take a little breather on that.
The French say lacking.
Lacking. I will not.
Eddie lacking.
I will not. Acquiesce. I shan't. Interesting situation too with the World Heavyweight title with Daniel Bryan. And most of the time, anytime a guy has serious neck surgery, they just take him right off TV and they take him off the road. But he's still, I'm sure he's not making towns, but I'm sure he's he's there for Raw every week. We'll see what happens. I don't think he'll be good to go by the end of the month. I don't know if they will make the Money in the Bank ladder match for the WWE World Heavyweight title. That would make the most sense. That'd be the most fair thing.
As much as it is a work in the show, it seems to be the actual plan. If he's ready, he will wrestle. And if he's not, it'll go to the Money in the Bank match. So sometimes they have that. They already know he's going to wrestle or whatever. But in this case, they actually have no idea what's going to happen, or so I've read anyway.
See, that's interesting because with neck surgery, I mean, I know he had quote unquote minor neck surgery, and in the story he says it's more severe than they said. But I mean, that's something you obviously can't rush him back.
More severe, just the recuperation isn't going. Like he's having strength issues in one of his arms, and I think it's not recouping as well as they thought. I mean, that's
I can relate to that.
What dirt sheets say. That's what I read on BleacherReport.com, which is sponsoring this podcast this week. So we will see what happens there.
Yeah, shout out to Bleacher Report. They're friends of the show. Yeah, him being putting in the Money in the Bank. I mean, that would make the most sense. It's just it's tough for him to have such an arduous journey and have it culminate with the title, and then unfortunately, sometimes your number comes up and you got to have surgery. And I'm sure he was probably hurting for the first part of the year too, but he's just not going to admit it heading into WrestleMania. He's not going to admit that he's hurt.
Yeah, and it's funny the way wrestling works. Like, oh, your neck's injured? All right, well, we'll just have this huge man drop on your neck 4 times so we know, like, people know.
So we can sell the angle.
Yeah. I'd be like, can't we just get a, fender bender or something? I got rear-ended and, hurt my neck. No.
It's like whenever they come back from like a bad arm or a bad leg or something, and then they obviously their opponent will work that body part. But I'm like, heck, man, I guess they're pros, right? I guess I'm not giving them enough credit.
That's true. I mean, he wasn't, literally dropped on his head, but the possibility was there, I guess. So yeah.
Well, 1 week they had, he announced that he had to leave because of the neck thing, and then Kane just came out later in the show and just dragged him out from backstage as if he just beat him up sight unseen.
Oh yes, that's true. That's true.
Probably the smartest thing to do, right? Because you can sell a fake beating pretty easily.
I've also never been a fan of backstage fights.
Yeah,
and we've seen it well, as much as I can say in person, but there was a huge one when the WWE came to Halifax in 2003.
They stole a car.
God.
Next to Citadel Hill. Yeah. It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing if you're in the crowd watching a backstage fight.
You're just watching the screen, and two men pretend to throw each other through things, but don't actually.
Yeah, I guess you need it for some reason. You need to show the fact that there is stuff that can go on backstage.
True.
I don't know. It's a weird thing to defend. I guess I'll stop.
If I remember, was that the? I might be misremembering, but didn't Brock Lesnar do something with the forklift?
Well, he
trapped the Big Show or something. Did he not?
I know he carried the Big Show out on a forklift for a stretcher match, I believe. Or maybe it was just a forklift match.
The stretcher match. Anyway, I totally digress as I often do, but me trying to talk my way through remembering things is never a good idea because my memory sucks anyway.
Yeah, it's all that. It's because you've dropped on your head so many times.
Yeah, as a baby. Thanks, Mom.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just kidding. Oh, my God. They're going to hear that and be mortified. I'm joking.
Well, I can tell them for a fact that I jumped and fell on my head when I was 6 months old.
Yeah, yeah.
But shout out to our folks, beautiful people. There you go. That's enough wrestling for now, I think. I was gonna sashay into hockey. I don't know if anybody else had anything else to say about wrestling. So let's just sashay into hockey right now and how.
I just gotta say that it's very interesting that like how you would sashay from wrestling to hockey because that word doesn't really seem to fit with either of those two things. Sashay being very feminine, wrestling and hockey being both very masculine.
Not necessarily, man. I think our women's gold medal hockey team in the Olympics would like a word.
That's true.
Yes, okay, fine, but
Sir.
they're not what we're talking about right now.
Yes, it is. Remember in February when we
You want to talk
won
about them
gold
right
medal?
now? You want
Yeah.
You want to talk?
I want to talk about how I didn't know that Haley Wickenheiser was on the team. I was like, I think she's retired. And no, she's very much there.
She's still there.
Yeah.
It's funny because Jay and Dan had their podcast and they were talking about the Olympics after they had been off for 4 months.
Yeah. Remember that event that happened 4 months ago?
Remember we were in Russia and never talked about it ever, and now we have a chance to, even though no one really remembers.
Yeah.
Anyway, on to ice hockey.
Ice hockey.
Sashaying there.
And we're going to parlay into ice hockey and how none of us were correct in our Stanley Cup final predictions. Like,
Kind of hard to be right anyway. There's 16 teams.
well, I picked New York and you guys both picked L.A.
Yeah.
But
At some point.
so between the three of us, we were right.
But, yeah.
If I had to make my choices right now, I would pick LA, New York.
Oh, good. Well
Did
informed
anybody,
choice.
I don't know if anyone had those folks in our original picks, which I don't even remember what they are.
I do. I have them right here. I can read them off to
the
you.
first podcast if you're feeling.
It was Anaheim, Montreal, Boston, LA, and Montreal, LA.
Oh yeah, so they did have two.
That's not that bad.
And
Okay.
actually, Matt, you also had
I'm the only
the
one who
option
screwed
of
the most.
well, you had the option of Pittsburgh, LA,
Yeah.
but we were all still dreadfully wrong. Oh, I want to correct something from 2 podcasts ago. By the way, when we were speaking of sorry about this, when we were speaking of Godzilla. And we were talking about Toho being involved. Toho was actually also involved in the 1998 Godzilla because they had to get the rights from that company. So I'm dumb. Anyway, there's the first correction I can think of besides all of our Stanley Cup final predictions.
Any of that?
You didn't listen to any of that?
No, I had listened to all of it. I understood none of it.
Oh, don't worry about it.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, Stanley Cup final. You guys think this will go 7? I think it probably will.
I don't.
I don't.
Really?
LA and 5.
No, I think
LA
LA
in
and 5. I
5?
can see that.
Yeah,
I can see
well,
that.
I mean, what's the point of making predictions if you can't get a little, risky about it?
Well, you've been right so far.
Yeah, hey.
That was sarcasm.
My gut has never led me astray. So, I mean,
Your guts
Right?
got craps for brains.
I find shrugging and just going, whatever. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, but nobody
It
can
lowers
hear a shrug.
expectations.
Oh, well, I'll try and shrug louder. I'll do it.
Oh,
There you go.
Wow.
Okay.
That,
you should probably stretch a little bit, buddy.
I don't know. Stretching's a sign of weakness.
Stretching, by the way, shout out to DDP Yoga, friend of the show.
The man or the
The company.
company? Okay. All right.
His name's not DDP Yoga.
No, his name is Paige Joseph Falkenberg.
No, it's not.
It seriously is. I could not make that
Hi,
up.
I'm PJ Falkenberg. How you guys doing today?
No, when he does
Let's
his
do some yoga together.
when he does his motivational speech, he's like, "I was born Paige Joseph Falkenberg in New Jersey."
That's the worst name anyone's ever had.
Yeah.
Monty Kipstop is pretty bad as well.
Lonnie Kipsop is terrible.
Who else? Who else? There's some other great bad names out there.
Wow. I found out why Daniel Bryan is named Daniel Bryan and not Bryan Danielson. It's because WWE wants to own the rights to the name.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
So dumb.
He had some pretty bad suggestions too. Well, I remember Steve Austin. They sent him a list of like 4 pages of names, and I think one of them was like Chili McFreeze.
Shut up.
It was.
No, that's true. That's definitely true.
It was Chili McFreeze. I said,
He wanted a colder name.
ain't no way I'm being called Chili McFreeze. I'm going to be called Stone Cold Steve Austin.
When you started that, I thought it was a Nick Cage impression for like the first half second.
This is Nick Cage.
Why am I not in that movie?
Hot meals served daily. It exists.
that movie.
No, Steve Austin. Well, actually, and Steve got his nickname from his then English wife, who told him to drink his tea before it was stone cold. And he's like, that's a pretty good name, Stone Cold. Also, he had the name Steve Austin made up to him by Dutch Mantel like 2 minutes before he was supposed to go on. But that's another story for another day.
Not very original because that's the $6 million man, right?
Well, it is, but there was also Dr. Death Steve Williams in the company, so Dutch was just like, yeah, you're Steve effing Austin. And he's like the $6 million man. It's like, no one will think about that. So, get on with it. He's since legally changed his name to Steve Austin, probably a long time ago.
Oh, really? That's so sad.
I thought he had. Anyway, Stanley Cup Finals. There you go.
Oh my goodness, is that where we went with this?
Yeah,
Yep.
That's where we ended up. We sashayed from wrestling to hockey, and then we pirouetted back to wrestling.
Oh, it was DDP. Yeah, it was. Yeah,
DDP was the entry drug for that. Alex, how's LeBron holding up, man? Is he hydrating? Is he drinking his Gatorade? Coconut water, I recommend.
Saw on last night, I think he's looking a lot better, and we can all agree.
Yeah, he had a heck of a performance.
He had a heck of a game last
night. Yeah.
You know what? It's all tied up at 1 now, so we'll see what happens.
Oh man, if you're wrong about that,
that is gutsy. I like it.
You're sewering our reputation, sir.
LeBron puts in 36, and the Heat win by 10. So let's moving on.
I'm making a note of that right now. 36, Heat win by 10. We'll see what happens next week on the Triple Threat Podcast. Thanks for joining us this week, folks. Good night.
No. Yeah, we'll see what happens next week, but it was yesterday, so yeah.
Anyway, enough about that. World Cup is when, Alex? When does it start?
It starts on Thursday.
This Thursday.
Yeah, it's the 12th of June until July 13th.
And as we've discussed before, Canada is not involved this year.
As they have not been ever.
Or any year. But cheer for your various country. Do we know why the Netherlands wear orange, by the way?
Matt, you want to handle that one?
Yeah, Matt.
I thought it was
resident expert.
It's their color, I believe. Like, I think it might be related to their jersey or like their flag. But
no, their flag is red, white, and blue.
Funniest things you do.
Yeah.
Well, red, white, and blue put together is orange. So.
No, it's not.
Well, okay.
Somebody needs to go
really.
back to. That'd be like.
You guys gonna do?
That'd be a light purple. A light purple.
I'm gonna see if I can find out what's going on here with the orange by using the internet.
Well, it is the new black.
Yeah, and that's back. Orange is the New Black. I got to check that out. You guys watch that show?
I haven't watched any of it. No.
Oh,
have you seen it?
Oh yeah.
Doesn't seem very interesting.
You're a fan?
Okay. Well, it's really you have no way of saying that because you've never seen a second of it.
You said it doesn't.
I said it doesn't
look
look
very
interesting.
Yeah.
Nothing I've heard about it makes you want to see it. How's that?
Women in prison.
You're gonna give me crap for that? Huh?
Oh, I'll give you crap. I'll crap all day.
Oh, dang.
All day.
So
we're not going to digress.
I have an answer.
We're going to talk
an
about
answer.
the World Cup. Do you have an answer to why the Dutch wear orange?
I do indeed, yes.
Okay, go.
Orange is the historic national color of the Netherlands, originating from the coat of arms of the Dutch founding father, William of Orange-Nassau.
William of Orange.
Dash Nassau. I'm not sure why it's like that. But
He's from
orange is a color there, despite the kits being generally orange when they're at home.
Okay.
And they do a little red, white, and blue when they're away, it looks like, from what I can see online here.
Okay.
Although they're going to be all blue for the World Cup, though.
They'll be all
the
blue?
aways.
Oh, for the aways.
For the aways, yeah. And then
Well, they're all away. They're in Brazil.
It's funny how we get so into the kits of soccer teams. I feel like I've said this before. I feel like I've made this point a couple times already. But no, it's just funny how that's a big part of the World Cup, and other tournaments, hockey and the Olympics and things like that. How interested people get into the jerseys.
Yeah, well, it's important. Your team has to have a good look, man.
Yeah, team's got to look good.
If it looks bad, then it's not good. That's just like my opinion, man.
I think. Well, that's just like your
it's opinion, like your opinion, man.
It's the greatest movie of all time. Yeah, and I think your team's got to look good. I think we all know soccer players are the handsomest athletes in the world. That's proven by silence and completely indisputable. And there's nothing wrong with me saying that. So you do got to look good.
You think Wayne Rooney's one of the handsomest men on the earth?
Nope. We're just taking laws of averages here. Hair plugs over there. Not so much of a.
Who's the guy with the gnarly scars for France?
Oh, Ribéry.
Yeah,
he's actually injured. He's out. He's out for the World Cup now.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. Poor thing.
So he brings up the average of attractiveness.
So yeah, I mean, wow. If you find scars unattractive, but whatever. I almost just said something that would have spoiled something, and now I can't even mention what because even explaining how it would have spoiled something would be a spoiler.
All right.
So I was going to explain it and realized I can't. So enjoy that, and if you ever figure out what I almost just spoiled, drop me a line.
Wow. There you go.
Right.
Drop me a line at Evonix on Twitter.
What?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to lay all the hands on the table here, cards on the table, not my hands. I'll use my hand to lay the cards on the table. But we had a bit of trivia going on or a quiz going on and may have lost the audio of that. So we're going to try and we could have tried to recreate it, but that wouldn't have worked well at all. So
no, we're bad actors. Although I did have to recreate my drafted trivia and answer the same questions the same way. Yes.
And drafted trivia... so Will and I both auditioned for what is called, it was the Scores Drafted. Are they doing that this year?
No, it's canceled.
I figured as much. Well, you know why? Their last winner's a friggin' loser, so they're just like, you know what? Let's forget this crap. But they got taken over by
Rogers.
By Rogers, and I think they were just done with it, which was I don't know. I thought it was a good concept.
Yeah, it was fun.
But anyway, Will and I both auditioned on our respective coasts. Will was in Vancouver, and I was in Halifax. And what did you get? Well, I got a 16 out of 20.
Yeah, we got the same.
Yeah, and the the questions I got wrong, I couldn't. I can't remember all of them, but the one I did get wrong was a soccer question, which was absolutely devastating to me.
Ouch.
It was who does Andre Pirlo play for?
France.
What's the correct answer?
The correct answer is Italy.
That's what I said.
I said Uruguay for some reason. And the guy goes, "Nope, good guess though." And I was like,
not even the same. Really?
Just as it ended, I was like, "He plays for Italy, doesn't he?" And he's like, "Yep." And I was like, "I don't know how Uruguay's a good guess then." Not even close.
Way to go, idiot. All right, so we have some remaining trivia questions.
Yes. So, okay. You know what? I put a lot of work into this, so I'm going to recap.
Thank you.
I have, folks, listeners, ladies and gentlemen, and in between.
Boys, girls. Yep.
I had put together 15 questions, 7 of each for the brothers, and one question that both of them will answer, which is more of a closest to the pin. Whoever gets the most jelly beans in the jar gets closest to it will get that question right.
3,607.
Again, and that's hilarious because that is the exact number you said previously, so I feel like that has a little special place in your heart. So, 2014 World Cup being in Brazil, the first question I asked was to Will. This is like watching a Jeopardy recap podcast, but I'm going to do it anyway. The first question was to Will, and it was, when was the last time host nation Brazil won the World Cup? Will responded 1994, which was incorrect, to which Matthew responded, or tried to come back and steal, and he said 1998. Both those answers being incorrect. While Brazil did win in 1994, France won in 1998, and Brazil won again in 2002. So that's the most recent. I'll try and do this quicker after that question. Second question was, what country is Manchester City fullback Vincent Kompany from? And this was posed to Matthew. He guessed Ghana, which was one of the options, was incorrect. Will had the steal. He said United States, also incorrect. The correct answer was Belgium. So 2 questions in, we were 0 for 2.
Can I throw in a very quick question?
Yes.
What is a fullback in soccer, in football?
Defenseman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Continue.
He is behind the running back, kind of in the wishbone formation, and then he blocks.
Huh. Okay. The lines between football and football are becoming blurred.
Yes, they are. And I think.
Hey.
Hey, you cheer for a team that actually uses a fullback, one of the few. So
that's right.
Always a weird thing to if you're a Pro Bowl voter, voting on positions. Fullback is one of those weird ones where everyone has like 43 yards and no touchdowns. So you're just
just pick Vontae Leach.
Vontae Leach, I guess. Pierce isn't a fullback, is he?
No.
No. Okay. The Patriots have one that they kind of used. What's his name? I want to say James Devlin, but I'm not sure if that's correct. And
we'll correct it next week on the.
I'm just going to hope it is correct because if I'm wrong, I'll be embarrassed. So, question 3 was to Will, and it was a simple pick one of the two, being which country is higher ranked in the FIFA World Rankings? And the options were Colombia or United States of America, and Will said United States of America, which was incorrect. It is Colombia. They are 8th, and the U.S. is 13th. Then to Matt, I posed a similar question, which country is higher ranked in the FIFA World Rankings, England or Netherlands? Matt responded Netherlands, which is also wrong. And the answer was England. So no chance to steal on those because that would have been unfair. Because I know how to put a quiz together where a 2-option question cannot be stolen.
That's barbed. That's a barbed comment.
That's what? I'm just reviewing what's happened so far. So
by the way, because you get to do World Cup quiz, I'm going to do a Led Zeppelin quiz at some point.
Oh, that's going to go so. I'm going to start like reading biographies and stuff.
Yeah, and then at the last second, I'll change it to a Megadeth quiz.
May look them up on Wikipedia. That's about as far as I'll go. All right, so this is the question 5 was to Will, and I can't remember how this one went. I think Matt. Okay,
was it the one that you just gave to him?
No, this is not the one I just gave to him. That's coming up. As we all know, this is the 20th World Cup. How many different countries have won the World Cup? And I think Will said 7, and which was wrong, and then Matt stole and had 8, which is the correct answer. So that gave Matt a 5-point lead. And then the question was, what was the last? I think I'm having this right. Maybe I'm not. I think I have it right. What was the last host team to win the World Cup? Germany, France, Argentina, Brazil. And Matt, I think you got that right. You said France, and that was the correct answer.
Yes, I think I said that.
Yes. Then the 7th question to Will. This is the first World Cup appearance for which country? And he was correct with Bosnia and Herzegovina. So that made it 15-10. Who won the Golden Ball in 2010? They both got that wrong. They said Cristiano Ronaldo and Andre Iniesta. The answer was Diego Forlan. From which country, Matt?
Uruguay.
That's right. So then I asked Will, stupidly, what country does Diego Forlan play for? And he said Uruguay, which was correct. So, the quizmaster makes mistakes. That's fine. So that made it 20-15. No, it didn't. Yes, it did. Okay, 20-15.
You're good.
The only 2 continents to have produced World Cup champions. Name those continents. Will was right with Europe and South America. We also would have accepted Antarctica and Australia. So that made it 30-15. And then why should Maradona's goal have not counted in the 1986 World Cup? Matthew Vaughn correctly answered. He scored with his hand. The Hand of God, very famous play, and that made it 30-25, which is where we are now, the longest recap in the history of the universe. And now we're on to question 15, and it's anybody's game at this point. So after that recap, this one goes to Will, and like I said, Will has 30 points, Matt has 25, anybody's game at this point. Only one question each remaining, and then the closest to the pin, which is the 15th and final question. So, Will. How many times has England won the World Cup?
0.
Well, there's a number of options here. A, 1, B, 2, C, 3, D, 5, E, every time, or F, 0.
I'm going to say F0.
You're going to say F0. No, England won the World Cup in 1966, the only time they did it. So they've won one
Well, there
time.
goes the steal.
Will, did you ever watch Mad Men?
Oh, my goodness.
Season, I don't even know which season it was, but the one with Jared Harris where he's trying to cheer on England in the World Cup and they win.
Wait a minute. I was just stating my favorite Super Nintendo racing game, F-Zero. Wait, what was the...
Oh, my gosh.
Well, there's no steals on these last 2 questions because it's ruined that for Matt.
Yeah.
Great.
Such a moron.
All that Mad Men watching for nothing.
If Matt anyway, Matt, this one goes to you.
Here we go.
Okay. How many times has Germany won the World Cup? Is it A, 1, B, 4, C, 3, D, 0, E, 5, F, 6, or G, 2?
Okay, I don't know how
This one
anyone
went
would
to
ever
G?
be able to remember that. So I'm gonna. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do.
I'll give you. Sorry, A1, B4, C3, D0.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna. It can't be very many because Germany wasn't a united country for a long time, unless you're counting West and East. But I don't feel like they did. Are you gonna give me any indication there, Alex? Or?
I am counting it as a united country. So if East or West won, it would not count.
Okay. Well, they were East and West from 45 to, I don't know, 89 or something. So that doesn't leave a whole lot of World Cups. Can you just run through the numbers again?
Yeah, 1, 4, 3, 0.
That's my pin, by the way.
Well, there we go.
There we go.
I'm going to say, gosh. Say 1.
It's incorrect. It's 0. Okay, so
Nuggets.
There you go. So we both suck.
So no, there's no steals on that one. So
No steals.
that's 100% my bad, as is most things that go wrong on this podcast.
Wait, can you follow up? What year didn't they win?
What year didn't they win? They did win 1930, 1934, 1938.
Yeah.
So Matt, you caught on to my trick question, which is that West Germany, I think, has won 3 or 4 times. East Germany never did. And Germany itself, as a united country, also never did. So,
they should split up again.
Very good. I think so. West Germany was much better off, I think, as we all agree on that. That's a discussion for another time. Last question, closest to the pin. Let me see here.
Is this a golf question? I don't get it.
Yeah, it is. Phil Mickelson is under investigation for what crime? No.
Is that true? He's gonna forget what's.
He is, isn't he?
Insider trading. He's being investigated by the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
So, for what crime?
Insider trading.
Oh gosh, one of those rich guy crimes.
Yes,
white collar crime.
Yeah,
white polo shirt crime.
So these are the FIFA World Cup rankings, and this is the question. These were last updated on the 5th of June. The question being, and this is I'll go to Will and then to Matt. What is Canada's current FIFA world ranking? So, closest to the pin on this gets it.
I'm going to say...
And this is for the win because it's worth 10 points.
This is FT Dub. Okay. Is it Price is Right rules closest without going over? I can go over? Okay. I'm going to say 89.
Okay. Matt?
I'm going to say... 101.
Wow. And with the win, Matty Vaughn.
Yes.
35 to 30, despite the screw job.
Yes, I have risen against.
Earl Hebnering I did there did not deter you.
What's the rank?
Well, it's not important. No, they're 110th.
Nice.
So I think last time I looked, they were 112. So they're up 2. So there's a little a little trivia for you there. See what the Vaughn Bros know about Saka.
Not a lot.
Well, I mean, that's fine. That happens. I mean, like we said, Will's going to do a
Led Zeppelin one and
Led Zeppelin quiz or what was it, Megadeth or something?
Megadeth, yeah.
You could just be like, play obscure Metallica songs and be like, what song is this? And I'll just be like, I don't know.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. See if you guys can recognize Shortest Straw.
Saint Anger?
I would know that one.
Yeah, it was the official theme song of SummerSlam 2003.
What was the song for Mission Impossible 2?
That was I Disappear.
I Disappear. That's a great song.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, Mission Impossible 2 is a guilty pleasure of mine.
Oh, Mission Impossible 2 is so ridiculous. They charge each other with motorcycles.
It's like the most year 2000 movie there could be.
All I think when I watch that movie is like, damn, if this didn't go late, that guy would be Wolverine.
Right. Yeah, weird.
What's his name? Not Tom Cruise, obviously.
Who, DeGray Scott?
Yeah,
DeGray.
Yeah, he was originally cast as Wolverine, but Mission Impossible 2 went late in filming, so they had to get someone else who was Hugh Jackman, which is why Hugh Jackman's – if you look at Hugh Jackman in the first X-Men compared to how he looks now. It's
way skinnier.
It's a huge difference, and he didn't have any time to train or prepare or anything like that. So
well, he's also 24601. Nobody gets that. Maybe I'll do
is right.
Yeah, maybe I'll do a Broadway quiz next time.
I could do okay. I'm reading a book right now about the ill-fated Spider-Man musical.
Oh, turn off the dark.
Yeah. Turn off the dark.
Turn off the dark. I'm an avid listener to You Talking U2 to Me with Adam Scott and Scott Aukerman. And that's their podcast about the band U2, and they were talking this week about Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. Yeah, it is.
I thought it was just a
They
joke.
do a show every week about U2?
They do, and they started off by thinking they would cover. They thought it would be a limited release podcast where they would cover 3 albums a week, and then the new U2 record would come out. They would review it and be done. But they did 3 the first time, and then they did one album. They completely didn't talk about one time. And now they're just kind of waiting and doing different podcasts. So, for instance, 2 weeks ago, they did one called Stained Glass, where they talked about the band Stained with comedian Todd Glass. Part of the appeal of the podcast is that they only talk about the what the title is. Like, so for instance, they had Doug Benson on talk about Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark, and they talked about it for maybe half an hour of the hour and a half they have the podcast there. The rest of them is just them screwing around.
What an unprofessional way to do a podcast. We would never stoop to such lows.
But it's become essential listening for me because it's pretty great. Super, like,
It has become
don't listen to it with your kids, but it's good.
Don't listen to your kids.
All right, so they're
Family
big.
friendly
They're
version.
big U2 fans then.
Yeah, both of them are. Yeah, and the last 3 podcasts they talked a lot about Billy Joel as well.
Wow. So they are it is becoming limited release, and they are branching out.
Yeah. All right. So enough about YouTube podcasts. Alex, you wanted us to give our World Cup predictions.
Yeah.
Is that right?
And after another, man, this is the digressiest podcast we've had, I think, so far.
You'd be surprised.
We've been digressier.
To be fair, I never listened to them after that recording them. I'm like Johnny Depp, I can perform, but I can't watch it or listen to it.
Does he not watch his movies?
No. You can hardly perform
Makes
either.
it very-
None of this is Jolie, I think.
Yeah, it makes them.
Oh, so neither one of them saw the Tourist or whatever that was. Yeah, well.
Hey, but
Good.
HFPA did, and they loved it. So, what can you
Who's the HFPA?
Hollywood
Oh, the Hollywood
Press
Foreign-
Association.
That's one of- that's right.
Because it was nominated for like 4 Golden Globes.
Golden Globes.
It's like 9. 9 was nominated for like 6 Golden Globes. And I saw it, and people actually did see it, and they're like, "What the hell is going on here?"
So for predictions, you just want us to guess which team's going to win?
God, digressions. Yes, just predict. No, predict the finals and then predict the winner.
Okay, if we predict the wrong, I don't know how the tournament works.
That's
so
true.
like,
I can't remember that off the top of my head. So just pick the winner.
Okay, I'm gonna say I think this is England's year.
Okay, I like it. I always cheer.
No reason to think that.
Hey, they got 23 guys on their team who know how to play soccer, so that helps their cause, and they're in the tournament. That helps. I want Will to pick someone who's not in the tournament.
I'm not going to pick someone who's not in the tournament.
Okay.
I'm going to pick Portugal and Brazil in the final, and then Brazil wins.
Ooh, Brazil at home.
Battle of Portuguese.
Portuguese. Yeah, that's my pick.
I'll say, gosh, I'll say Germany. Germany's gonna win. They were the last host team to be in the finals, and they lost in 2000. No, they weren't. Were they? I can't remember now. Forget I said anything.
You don't know nothing. You just wrote a quiz.
No, did they? Who hosted? No, never mind. I'm wrong. They were in the semifinals last time they hosted, but not the finals. They were in the finals last World Cup and lost. Or the Netherlands did. It doesn't matter. I'm going to go with Germany.
There we go.
There we go.
They can get their one.
They will get their one, and I will be happy. Bastian Schweinsteiger will do something soccer-related, dribble a ball or kick it or save it from going in.
Yeah.
One of those things.
It's a bold prediction, Alex.
Yes. Yeah. Dude,
There you go.
I can't remember if we got Will's story about soccer. I think we might have lost that, but that was the funniest thing I'd heard in a long time.
I'll recant it.
You're going to recant it, so you're going to say it never happened?
We're going to talk about the...
I take that back.
we were talking about that miracle goal that went off buddy's hand in '86. Maradona.
People are serious about that guy. I would be careful about just saying somebody.
I don't think we have a lot of Argentinian listeners.
Hey, man.
Shout out to Argentina. Como está?
Don't cry for us.
Please don't cry for us, Argentina. Truth is, we never left you. Wow, we should. This is the old Broadway version of the Triple Threat podcast.
It is.
I like to be in America. I was saying that the dumbest thing I ever did in soccer, besides signing up to play, was the ball was in my own box, and it was kind of trickling towards our keeper. And instead of like tapping it toward him to pick up and kick out, which Alex mentioned earlier was illegal, I had no idea that you couldn't do that.
Yeah, the goalie can't pick up the ball after it's been kicked to him by his own player.
But he can still play it, though, right? He can still kick it?
Yeah, he can play it. So in soccer, you'll see a lot of guys like head it back or chest it back, and then he can pick it up, but you can't kick it to him and have him pick it up off the ground. He can play it, but he just can't pick it up.
They can booty bump it back, can't they?
They could booty bump it back. Yeah, that is very true. That is a lot of people do that.
You can booty bump the ball back to your keeper, and then
Speaking of booty bumping, Pitbull and J-Lo have the official song of the World Cup this year.
Good for them. Very Brazilian.
Will, what did you do?
Well, what I did was the ball was trickling toward our keeper, and instead of tapping it toward him with my foot, I picked it up with both hands and tossed it to him. And somehow the ref saw this and called me for a handball.
Really?
If only it went past him and you just threw it in your net.
So, Will, don't feel too ashamed because how old are you? Would you guess?
Maybe 12 or 13. Okay. I can't even remember when I played soccer last.
So I'll tell this story. I played competitive soccer for a couple of years, and every year we'd make the trek to Cape Breton Island in Nova Scotia for a 2-game, I guess head-to-head. I was going to say home and home, but they're both in Cape Breton, so no. And we're in Cape Breton for the first game on a Friday night, and the ball is going towards the goal, and the goalie's nowhere near there. I don't know why. So the ball's rolling towards Christian White, and Christian White's a big soccer fan, big soccer player, really good. He gets down like he's going to stop it with both hands, and then I don't know what was going through his brain. He did that. Now, he didn't end up touching the ball, but he yanked it away very quickly as if he had and then kicked it. And then, the ref saw this or thought he saw him touch the ball. So in that case, if you're the last man back, it's a penalty because it's a handball, but it's also a red card. So he got a red card and couldn't play in the second game.
Despite not actually touching it.
Despite not actually touching the ball. And I was right there. I don't know what he was thinking. Kind of similar, like something came over him. And he went down to grab the ball to stop it, which, not the best idea in the world, and kicked it out. But, yeah, he got red carded. So that was devastating.
Oh, man. And he hasn't gotten over it to this day.
Devastating to 13-year-old me. Hey, we lost the provincials in penalty shots. I still can get over that. So whatever. Oof. That was at Cape Breton as well. And the only other time I've seen someone get a red card, Derek Smith got in a fight in Cape Breton. So I don't know what's going on in Cape Breton in soccer, but it has not treated me well.
It's the tar ponds.
Really,
it's that tar pondy air.
I was fine in every case, but yeah.
Was that the year when you guys lost in penalty kicks? Was that the year you went to John Cherry's restaurant? They took like an hour and a half to serve us, then we left and got pizza?
I can't remember. Maybe. And maybe that's what brought it all crashing down. It was our hunger. Yeah, that was terrible. And that's not still
Snickers.
Open. I don't think that's still open. The one in Halifax,
the whole chain is gone, I think.
There might be one here, actually.
In Saskatoon?
I think there might be.
There was one in, actually, when I was driving towards Niagara Falls, I think there was a Don Cherry's somewhere along that stretch between Hamilton and Niagara, I want to say.
Oh, okay.
So, whether or not that's, I think as a chain, I don't know.
Well, that place can stuff it.
Going on, but yeah, it's a terrible spot.
Yeah, it sucked.
They had a place on Halifax on Spring Garden Road where Bubba Ray's is now.
Yeah, I haven't been to Bubba Ray's yet.
It's nothing special.
Oh, that was okay, though.
You know that Bubba Ray Dudley, now known as Bully Ray in Impact Wrestling, who draws huge house show crowds, by the way, he said that he had 2 fears in his life. He was afraid that he would have to shave his head, and he never wanted to be called Bubba. And he ended up doing both. And it was, worked out quite well for him.
Well, good to conquer your fears, right?
Yeah, exactly. Go for it head on. he admitted on Chris Jericho's podcast, Chris Jericho, friend of the show, that I think back in the day he had like a blonde flat top or something, and Paul Heyman asked him to shave his head, and that was a big fear for him, and he's kind of like, but it's a job, it's work. And then they were cutting promos in Paul's basement at like 3 a.m, right, as they did in the ECW days, and they needed a name for Bubba, because the Dudleys already existed when Bubba came in. But they needed a name for him, so people were like, he looks like a Billy Joe or something. They're just throwing names around, and someone's like, he looks like a Bubba, and everyone's like, yeah, and Bubba, he's like, oh no, it's like, so what is it, Bubba Joe or Bubba Lee or Bubba Ray? You'll be Bubba Ray Dudley, and that's just kind of how they came up with the name Bubba Ray Dudley.
I would have liked Bubba Lee a lot better.
Bubba Lee?
Well, did you say that?
I think you did.
No, you know what? That was a dumb one.
Yeah,
that was a terrible name.
I agree, because his name would have been Bubbly.
I recant that.
Okay. So the definition of recant has been changed and then changed back to its regular meaning. I
use words to suit my needs and not the other way around.
Yeah. Well.
Whatever. Matthew, you had a story to recant to us, didn't you?
Yes, sure. So I was thinking that, as something of a summer series, we're in the summer days now, and I figured, you know what, we've already heard some pretty great stories this podcast. But
actually not summer, for the record.
Yeah, it's literally isn't summer.
Okay, yeah, so not officially summer, but I don't pay attention to the, summer solstice, because what's the point? But it's getting hot out everywhere in North America, so yeah, it's summer. Summer movie season started, Alex and Will, so come on, that's got to count for something, right?
I get. Well, summer movie season always starts in the
Hollywood
spring.
To dictate what you think the seasons are, then yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, summer is generally for me university summer, which is beginning of May,
generally
end of August.
Saluted.
All right. So now that we've talked about that, so I wanted all of us to have an opportunity to share what would kind of be considered our best stories. So I have one that is. I have one that I think is pretty good. So you guys have any questions about it during the recounting of it? Feel free to jump in. And just for the record with this story, this happened in 2005, I want to say. So I might be wrong, but the fact of the matter is I might be fuzzy on some details. So if anybody's listening to this podcast, they've heard me tell this story before, or they were there for it, and I have a detail that is incorrect, I am not trying to preserve myself. I'm not trying to make myself look better or change the story in any way. It's just my memory being fuzzy. So that is why I would change it by any chance there. So the three brothers here, we all went to the same high school, Auburn Drive High School.
Woo.
And yeah, exactly. And at Auburn Drive High School, uniquely, they have TVs in every classroom and all through the hallways because they do video announcements.
Well, so they do video announcements because they have the TVs,
right? Vice versa, whatever. So there's a TV studio and everything like that. And so if you take a class, applied broadcast journalism, you can host a show or help out with it in some way. And so when I was in grade, I want to say 11, I was one of the hosts for this. And so you could have a little bit of fun with it, but generally you would just read the announcements. Typically when I was like in my first year of high school, people would do a lot of Anchorman quotes because Anchorman had just come out and they were being news anchors. So it made a lot of sense for them to do that. And so I was going to host the announcements this day. And what I decided was, okay, so our teacher who's usually there was not there that day. We had a substitute. So I felt like I could do a little bit more than what I would usually be allowed to do. I could kind of stretch the limitations of the announcements. So I decided, okay, what I'll do is I will spoil the end of the 6th Harry Potter book. Now, this would be about November of the year the 6th Harry Potter book came out. And that book came out in, July. So it's been a few months. And I figured, you know what, it'll be kind of fun to spoil the end of the book. And if people haven't read it already, well, maybe they don't care, so it's not a big deal to them. And if they have read it, they'll just know I'm, throwing it out to them. So that's not so bad, right?
This is a horrible idea, but go on.
Yeah. Hey, I'm not saying it's not a horrible idea, and there's a lot of consequences to it, so it's okay. So the announcements are coming to the end, and we kind of do our sign-off, and I say, I'm Matt Vaughn, and Snape killed Dumbledore. And so that's
what?
The end of the
When?
I know. And so just to really, give a punch to the point, I hold up a sign that says exactly that: Snape killed Dumbledore, and they freeze on it. And then we go out of it. So then the announcements end, and so I get back to the class, and people think it's pretty funny. They're pretty happy about it. I was like, oh, good, this is cool. And even the substitute teacher who was there, he's kind of this timid guy, but he was like, oh, it was pretty funny. He was on board for it. He was on board. I was like, all right, that's good. That's good stuff. So it's right before lunch. Lunch comes, and some people come up to me. They're like, oh, it was really cool. It was really funny. At least one person was like, oh, hey, my teacher hated that. And I had that teacher the next semester. So I was like, great. I'm glad to hear that the teacher that I have soon hated something I did. That's really great. Great first impression. Yeah. And so lunch happens, come back from lunch, and some people are talking about it a little bit. But then the substitute teacher comes back. And he is no longer
digging it.
No, he's not digging it. He was very like, all right, we've talked enough about it. And he just seemed very much like he had heard some things in the staff room that made him change his mind about how good this idea was. And I was like, all right, well, I don't know what that's all about. So the next day, it is lunchtime. And I am just kind of hanging out downstairs, and there are some people that are hanging out by lockers, and there's a girl who is putting herself in a locker and then closing the door, which is all very funny because she's very small. And I couldn't think of a kind of a name to give her. I'm going to say Ricky was her name. So
with an I or a Y?
It's two I's, two K's. So Ricky is in this locker, and somebody put a pen in where you put the lock to kind of lock her in as like a joke. Anyway, so she got a hold of that. So she's in the locker, and then conversation comes back to what I was doing in the announcements yesterday. They're like, hey, that was really funny that you what you did in the announcements. You spoiled that book. It was funny. I was like, oh, thank you. And then the locker door bursts open, and this girl is holding the pen in a kind of like the way you would hold a knife in a horror movie. And she yells something about like I haven't read the book yet, and she's really mad. And then she starts to stab me with the pen. So she's like essentially like hitting me all over this pen. I'm in shock because you never expect that to happen. And while I'm just kind of processing this, I decide to run away, and then I yell, "Snape is the Half-Blood Prince" on my way out. So I just kind of
because you're already stabbed. You might as well add one more, log to the fire.
Exactly. So it was very surprising.
Is he the Half-Blood Prince?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't watch these movies.
The film's been out for like 10 years.
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. The book even longer. So that happens. And then so I'm going to go to the next class after lunch. And I realize, you know what? I am bleeding because I have been stabbed with a pen.
Verily. I am now bleeding.
I am bleeding. I was stabbed over 20 times, mostly in the arms and a couple times in my chest. I wasn't stabbed like.
Was it like, yeah, how bad was it?
Yeah, you were gouged, but yet it broke the skin.
Definitely broke the skin. I actually have scars on my right hand that are still there. I can still see right now.
What?
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll show you anytime.
You got to tweet a picture of your gross hand.
I think I might. It's subtle, but it's absolutely there. So I decide I go to my next class. I go to my next class, and I say to the teacher, it's like, hey, so I was stabbed with a pen at lunchtime. Can I get a Band-Aid? And my teacher is like, yes, you can. Obviously, you can do that. So I go to the office. I go to hey, secretary, I need a Band-Aid. I was stabbed with a pen.
But they had the Band-Aids locked up, apparently.
Yeah, in case people want to huff Band-Aids.
Yeah.
So I go there, and I say, hey, can I get a Band-Aid? I've been stabbed. And so the secretary thinks this is important and decides to tell the vice principal. So the vice principal thinks this is relevant to come talk to me or at least figure this out. So he brings me into the office, and I explain to him what happened with this girl and the stabbing the pen and all that sort of thing. And I remember what he said because he asked me, hey, while she was stabbing you, at any point did you like hit her back? Did you retaliate at all? And I said, no, like I was in too much shock. It wasn't something that I really was able to process. It's not like I really wanted to hit her, but it was too much of a shock. And I remember, to this day, I remember exactly what he said. He said, you know what? If that was me, I would have went wild.
Wow. This is an authority figure.
This is an authority figure, yes.
If he's the vice principal, I thought of great guy. Not
absolutely.
Not much of an authority figure in the intimidating sense. He was Mr. Cadoo, if you will.
Oh, Mr. Cadoo. Does he the guy look like Psycho Sid?
Yeah.
I'm almost certainly. So So the vice principal, very surprised. And what happens is my friend, I wasn't sure the name of this girl. I didn't really know her that well. She hung out with some people that I knew. And so she decided, so my friend decided to say, okay, I know who that is. I'll say who it is. And so she was brought up to the vice principal's office. I left, and I found out she was suspended for the next week. So 5 days she was out of school, suspended. Because that's what happens if you stab people with pens at school, right?
Awkward.
Well, they can't abide that kind of violence. I know it sounds innocent that it's with the pen, but hey, still, man, you can do damage with that, break the skin, you know.
I have scars, yo. So what happened is I think the next day my teacher came back. He was back for being sick, and he made fun of me a little bit for doing it. But then he made a point to say that that morning he was called to the principal's office because the principal had heard enough complaints about what I did, and so he said the principal was like, you got to get control of your students. Like, I'm gonna bring this guy in here. I'm gonna get really mad at him.
This whole school's out of order.
Yeah, and so my teacher was just essentially just said like, yeah, but he was stabbed with a pen by another student, so maybe just let it go. He's kind of got what he deserved. And she did. She just let it go.
Well, yeah, really. You know, the students took the law into their own hands.
Yeah, and so the day that day was
let it go without breaking into song, but go on.
Yeah, I know. Well, it was before
do.
The song. Actually, it's funny you say that because that night was my birthday. The day that I got, I think it was the day I got
stabbed on my birthday.
Oh, happy
and
birthday!
Then, and I went to go. Thank you. And then I went to see "Walk the Line" at Empire with a friend of mine that night. So
there you go.
That's the song I would kind of jump into at this moment.
Yeah. Well,
so that is the story of how I was stabbed with a pen over spoiling Harry Potter on the announcements.
Well, hell, kids, just if you got spoilers, keep them to yourself or tweet them.
Yep, or just suffer the consequences.
One thing I would like to mention is that I read an article relatively recently on how it's amazing that so many things in the show Game of Thrones are not spoiled by the people who read the books 20 years ago. Because they're old.
I find it very odd. There's people online talking about like, oh, how's it going to end? I say, guys, it's very easy to find that out.
Well, no, because he hasn't read all the books yet. He's supposed to do 7. He actually might do 8.
Right.
And I think after this season, I'm going to read the first 3.
I have them on my Kabo, but I don't know. It's kind of hard to read because you're like, oh yeah, I know what happens next.
Well, yeah, but you can read it from the author's voice.
There's a lot more depth and storylines obviously aren't covered in the show.
In the show, yeah, and that's kind of I'm a big enough geek of the show that I'm actually interested in seeing what happens, more in depth in the books and see how maybe the books digress or how they're different.
So I'm not much of a Harry Potter anythinger, but if someone did that Game of Thrones style, I would stab them with a pen for sure.
What if it was they spoiled the TV show 4 months after the TV show was done?
That's a little different, I guess.
There's a statute of limitations on this. You can't.
I was in high school. I don't defend what I did.
You can't spoil it the next day, right?
Right.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't. That's why I decided to do it. So in some ways, it's kind of lame and tame that I even.
You know what? I would say for a book, 6 months tops. For a movie, 2 months. TV show, 2 days.
Hold on, no, but okay.
That's close to what I could.
So when you said it, had the movie been released?
The movie, no. There's only been like 3 or 4 movies.
Exactly. So you went 2 movies ahead and told them that Snape was going to kill Dumbledore.
Well, yeah, but it was books, though.
Yeah, no.
You're forgetting how into the books everyone was at the time. Like there was no thought of, I'll just wait till the movies come out.
Hey,
like,
man, I read 7 books in that series, which is all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of damn books, man. And I'm not a good reader.
I'm going to say you were both very wrong. That's mine.
About what?
You were wrong to spoil that.
We admitted that.
And and which is fine. And she was obviously insane to stab you for that.
And
she
admitted
she's
that.
a crazy person.
With a pen.
How's she doing nowadays?
We've had pleasant conversations in the past. She worked at Wendy's, and they've ordered from her there. And that's the extent of it. It was high school. People worked at Wendy's.
I applied at Wendy's so many times. They'd never hire me because of my busy rowing schedule at the time.
Man, the pain.
Yeah, the pain of not being hired at Wendy's. Nobody really understands that until you're not hired at Wendy's. Yeah. It's pathetic. Well, gosh, I think we were out of stuff to talk about this week.
We're at just over an hour, so that's perfect.
Are you sure? You add them all up?
Well, actually, probably just under an hour if you add it all up.
Yeah. This is going to be a 20-hour podcast. Well, it's about the length of a Game of Thrones episode. We've had an interesting time.
Then.
Trials and tribulations. We learn as we go. It's the 3-man cluster muck here on the Triple Threat Podcast. Sorry, that was the Nick Cage, Steve Austin combination coming out again.
I don't even know if it's a combination. I just thought when you said it the first time that I don't know, it kind of sounded cagey.
That might not be. Yeah.
You should recant that, Will.
I am a little cagey. I will recant that. Next week, what are we going to discuss? We'll give the review to The Fault Within Our Stars. I think I said the name of that movie wrong.
I'm probably going to get dragged to that movie, so.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't have.
I hear the book's all right. Actually, let me just real quick. Let me tell you how the book ends.
Yeah, what happens?
So
you can spoil it if I stay too, if you want.
If you hear the story of, if you hear the concept of the book, I think there's only one way it could end.
Yeah, I guess
the stars admit it's their fault.
Do you know anything about the book or movie, Alex?
I know that Shailene Woodley has nose hoses.
I know the guy in the movie is named Ansel Elgort. That's his name in real life.
Who wrote this? The Hunger Games lady? Who I don't know her name. Don't spoil Hunger Games for me, by the way. I haven't seen it.
Oh, yeah. I made up a name for Philip Seymour Hoffman's character a couple of weeks ago. His real name on Hunger Games is Plutarch Heavensby. And this is what he does in the last book. Well, you see, he gets up there.
Okay, stop.
Okay, sorry. Fine.
I don't even know the concept. I know that Universal's making a Hunger Games like theme park.
Oh, that should be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Spoil every episode of Suits.
Okay. Coming up next week. I'll
do it right now. The guy with the good memory remembers something.
Oh, okay. I don't even know there was a guy with a good memory.
In a nutshell.
Yeah, what should we spoil next week? I don't know. Alex, you still haven't seen Godzilla or Days of Future Past yet?
Correct.
Okay, so at the end of Days of Future Past, what happens is...
I haven't seen First Class yet. You can spoil that, too. I haven't seen either of the Wolverine movies. You can spoil that, too.
Charles loses the loss of his legs. Loses the loss? Loses the use.
Loss.
Oh, my God.
So he gets his legs back?
He has his legs in the movies.
He gets the use of his legs back?
They gave his legs back, but they accidentally attached it to his arms.
It's really hard to take that movie seriously when he's gesturing wildly with shoes on his feet.
With the leg for
an arm and
a nod for a leg.
That guy has shoes on his feet? What a weirdo.
Yeah, but they're attached to his arms.
Oh, okay.
They are his arms,
He has gloves on his feet and shoes on his hands. Okay, well.
There we go. Well,
we
haven't stopped listening to the podcast already.
Yeah. We've lost
Thank you for listening to us.
We've lost every single listener. Catch us on Twitter at William C. Vaughn.
Matt C. That's not right. MP Vaughn. I almost give my email address.
And you can also follow us on Instagram, too, at William C. Vaughn and at MP Vaughn.
Kind of got rid of my Instagram, I'll be honest with you. But
kind of got rid of it?
I just deleted the app off my phone.
Oh, okay.
But Alex, what's your Twitter?
I was just calling getting rid of it. Evaunix. EVAUGHANICS.
So next week I might tell the story about the scar on my knee.
Oh, please do.
Okay, well, there we go.
All I know is I have no interesting story, so we'll see how that goes.
Back by popular demand. I also want to mention something quick. At Brad the YM a couple weeks ago asked me what my favorite part of shooting motive was, and I didn't answer that question. My favorite part of shooting motive was everything. Okay, so thanks a lot for listening this week. We'll catch you next week. We'll try to do better next time. That's not copyrighted. And
Bye.
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 Bye.